Good morning, Lisa.
Hi, good morning. Are we on the link yet?
No, not yet.
When do we get on the link in case people are trying to wait?
Yeah, I would get on now.
Where's
And
Grace?
I would find Grace too.
Yeah, Grace should start, be on the link at 1:45.
Okay.
Yeah, just in case there's problems, because I couldn't figure out which link it is because both are still in my calendar.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay.
Okay.
See you in a bit.
All right.
Mhm.
Liz, are you there?
I am. Can you see me?
What is happening? How do I do this? Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Who's on the iPhone?
I don't know. Did you admit them?
I'm just going to. Who's on the iPhone? Who's on the iPhone?
Oh, sorry, Liz, it's Alan.
Oh, hi, Alan. Great. Okay, good. Last night, Alvin sent the financial statement.
Mhm.
I had a glimpse of it.
Yeah, it's all good.
I forgot to ask Liz, who's sharing screen? Are you going to share your screen?
I don't have my slides, so you have to do it.
Okay.
You have all the slides.
Okay.
I'm just gonna,
I also want to confirm, am I also taking minutes?
well, yeah, that's where the roles come into play.
Okay, just, okay.
You won't
yeah,
be
yeah.
able, I don't see how you can do everything, but is there any student or anybody, and maybe we'll ask Victor.
Sorry, I'm on my phone and my computer because because the camera on my computer isn't working currently.
So would it be easier, Anke, if you, no, because you'll be letting people in, or maybe you just send me your NCAM the slides and then we'll do it.
Okay, yeah, both Incam has the slides and I can send them to you right now.
Okay. Okay, so one of us will share. I'll do it. What the hell? So let me just share. And are you able to spotlight the person that's speaking?
Mhm.
Yep, everything works just fine. Where's everybody? There's nobody in the waiting room?
I don't see it. Anyone in the waiting room right now?
As this is a low turnout, with or without people, we're still going forward. And remember, we're taping because we want to take pieces of this and put it up.
Mhm.
Even though my hair did not work out today. My hair did not work out today.
Neither did mine, honestly.
Am I on camera? This is Alan.
No, I cannot see you.
No, you're not.
I'm trying to get it to where it says start video. I don't know. I think I'm on the FBI most wanted, so it won't show my face. But I can assure you, it's not for any nefarious reasons. I really want you guys to see my face, but my iPhone is acting up. So please excuse me for that.
Okay. I can. Okay, now. Okay, okay. It's still the same thing in Cam. If you're using your computer, maybe you want to restart it. Okay, there you are.
Yeah, I think it's an issue with my computer because I can join on my phone. So let me try to restart it.
Yes, try to restart it.
Grace,
Yeah,
and to the, just in case there's confusion, can you send out the link, the right link in the email to everybody again?
yeah, sounds good.
Like with the link in the email?
Okay, so I just sent it to all the Eventbrite attendees, and now I'm gonna send it to the board members.
So for those who are joining us, we didn't do a great advertising, but we did follow Corp Canada's rules. And so we have maybe 12 people. So the goal of this is when we go into the presentations is to really have some video clips. So people should be taking pictures. If there's screenshots, you know, we could put a few things up on the internet. That's why Grace can't do minutes because I would like Grace for you to put some things up about what's happening on our annual general meeting. But we want to capture images of people speaking. We want to capture, if we can, except for Alan, maybe a screenshot at the end with all the board members, things like that. And I'm gonna get my purse and I'm gonna call people.
Morning. I have no idea. I restarted my computer. And I had no problems joining my Zoom. I had Evo class this morning. I didn't have any issues joining my Zoom, so I'm not sure exactly what's going on, but I guess I'll just speak.
Oh, you can't see either? Can't be seen either?
Yeah, when I try to, I can see, but when I try to unmute on my computer, it doesn't let me. But when I'm on my phone, even though I think I'm on the same account. Yeah, I'm on the same account because I can switch interchangeably between the two. It won't let me, so it is what it is.
Can somebody text me the link, please? Y'all don't need to see what I'm purchasing, do you?
The most fundamental thing about sensitivity training.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay. I just resent the link.
And Mike sent it to me in a text.
Oh, I'll send it to you.
It's
I
easier.
don't have your phone number, I don't think.
Okay, can somebody send it to me in a text, please? So I can just forward the text.
Yeah, it's in your text now. I've sent it.
Thanks. Is Rochelle here?
I'm not sure. Let me look. I see Janelle in the waiting room and Jaya and Gladys and Victor,
Well,
but not Rochelle.
We'll let the ones that are part of the board in, please. Whoever's doing the waiting room. Who else are we missing? Trina. Anybody heard from Trina?
No, Grace, are you good to let the folks from the board in? Do you know who's on the board?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is Bernard here?
Who's Gladys? Oh, they were.
And I think I heard Patience. Oh, nice. Is it too late to add Mila's picture? She sent it to me and I forgot.
Yeah, you can send it to me right now. Email, anything.
Can I just text? Is it texting or email?
You can text it to me as well. Actually, email's easiest.
Okay, let me email it then, just a second. What is? Is Sam here? Mandy? Okay, well, I say we start. In the interest of time. So we can all, I say we start so we can.
Trina said to you, Jillian, and 2 others. I'm having trouble loading, currently camping.
Trina's having trouble loading because she's camping. Is there another way, like a call-in number?
There should be a dial-in number available.
Yeah, so instead of the Zoom link, if I'm the only one with Trina's text, please just text me the call-in number and I'll send it to him. Who's Gladys? Hi, Natalie. I guess we're starting. Hello, everyone. If I could be spotlighted. Spotlight myself. Hello, everyone. I am the chair of ASE Community Foundation for Black Canadians with Disabilities, and I welcome you to our annual general meeting. It is a little bit late as things were very busy during the end of the year. And we also wanted to do something for the National Accessibility Week. And we're thinking in the future that we do an AGM and an in-person event during the same time. So let's see how this works for next year. So I'm going to start my presentation. The way, nope, that's not right. Sorry. The way we'd like to have I'm going to go through the. So I welcome everyone. And as we start, let's go over who we are. This is our annual general meeting. This is our third one. So we're very proud of that. I want to start with a land acknowledgement. And many times we do a land acknowledgement that is just reading from the script or reading from and then saying what's finished. The purpose of, in case people don't remember, the purpose of a land acknowledgement is one of the 34 call to actions that came out of the Truth and Reconciliation process, where they interviewed Indigenous people across Canada and the territories and talked about their experiences in the residential school system. So if any of you have not had an opportunity to take a look at that report or the call to actions, I really, really encourage you to do that. The other thing, and so one of the call to actions is actually acknowledging in Canada that we are on Indigenous land and territory, and not just territory as in the sense of it's their land, in treaties. When the British and the French and everybody decided to take over the North American context and the South American context to stop fighting with Indigenous people who are fighting for their land or to be left alone, treaties were signed. And those treaties were signed with different Indigenous nations. And some don't have, some are unceded, like in different parts, like in BC. So it's actually quite complicated. But I'm asking you, as our acknowledgement, land acknowledgement from the ASE Community Foundation, to please go online and Google whose territory you are currently at right now and drop it into the chat. Sometimes, like I'm on the east side of Scarborough and Durham. It's covered by Treaty 13. That's the Williams Treaty. So we are sitting, the foundation, the address is in many of nations, actually, Mississauga of the Credits, Anishinaabe, Chippewa, Haudenosaunee, Wendat peoples, and is now home to many other diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. And so I also want to acknowledge, though, that of our own ancestors through the Black diaspora, and many of them and their struggles as treaty people, as settlers, because we're all treaty people. If we're not, we're all treaty people and we're settlers, migrants, and those that came here involuntarily, particularly as a result of the transatlantic slave trade. So we want to also pay tribute to our ancestors of African origin and descent. So this is just a small conversation around respecting and honoring the work and the care that Indigenous peoples have had for over thousands, decades, over 10,000 or longer years. So as you introduce yourself, we ask if you'd like, you do not have to, but if you'd like, please introduce yourself in the chat, your name, your pronoun, your location, where to find you. So if you want people to be able to find you, if you belong to an organization, and then unless you are speaking, please keep yourself muted. And please use the chat function for any questions or comments. Those who've requested accommodations, if there's any issues, please reach out to Grace and they will assist you. So like I said, my name is Lisa Arneson. My pronouns are she and her. I'm located in Ajax, which is Territory 13. You can find me everywhere if you just look up my name, Lisa Arneson. I am a light-skinned Black woman. I cut my hair short and it's completely out of control right now. I have a new set of glasses. So instead of the purple rims, they're open white, they're open glass lenses with the little purple. I do believe they're Versace's. And feel free at this moment to follow us on any of these and post and tag us. Other housekeeping, place your questions in the chat, please. And there will be a question and answer session after each section. Please direct messages or you want anything very specific, like you'd like to reach out to our new senior manager, Aranke, and there's the address. Or if you have technical difficulties or accessibility needs. We are recording this meeting, so let us know. So please turn off your camera if you're not comfortable with that. The reason we record it is for others to watch it who aren't able to attend today. So thank you. This is our agenda. We're going to just do the approval of the agenda in a minute. I'm going to introduce, we're going to do the chair's report. We're going to presentation of the financial report. The vice chair will do a small report. You'll get a brief presentation on each of these areas, and then we move on to other business. So the first thing I want to ask is, I'd like to have a motion to approve the agenda for today's AGM. So I need members.
I will move to approve the agenda. This is Janelle speaking.
So Janelle's moving, and who's seconding?
I'll second it.
Thanks, Victor. So let's move on. Let's start with the introduction of our new staff. Aranke Emmanuel. Aranke, please wave. Aranke Emmanuel comes to us recently, just last week, as our new senior manager, who will be like the lead of ASE. And I welcome you. I welcome you, Aranke. You've been a valuable asset. And I think it's been a week and a day. And here we are. I could speak to the wealth of knowledge and expertise she brings with her on her journey and her work in the not-for-profit world and the business world and the social enterprise world, and working within community and the needs of women, families, and Black people. So I welcome you, Aranke. I also want to welcome Grace in the back end. Where's Grace? Hi, Grace. Grace, they are our new administrative and community programs coordinator. That's the role that you will see behind, this is the person you'll see behind some of the emails with Connect. This is also going to be the person that will be working on some of our community projects, including our student initiatives. So thank you, Grace, for joining us. I think this is 3 weeks. Look at all you've done so far. And we're very pleased with all the diversity and work and commitment to disability justice and understanding that Grace brings with her to her role. We have Kaminda. Should I go to another slide? Okay. Kaminda is on this call. Kaminda, can we see your face? All right. Kaminda's current is our community projects coordinator and has been the one behind the Black Hub and has been with us since January. She is working on her master's out at Dalhousie and particularly on developing an app for HIV, Black people in HIV and AIDS community. So welcome, please welcome Kaminda. Oops. The next person that we want to welcome is Mila Dwyer. She's the community projects coordinator for the Black Hub. Jamila brings with her a wealth of experience working on 211 and 311 in the community, as well as the Assaulted Women's Hotline. And I want to welcome, oh, Mila, are you on the call? Samantha Costa is our community projects and animator, has been with us. This is the individual you might occasionally hear us say Mandy as a nickname. This is the individual that's been doing the work on gathering and updating the community database that we have to make sure we put the most accurate and relevant resources on our hub. So the presentation of the financial report at one time was Alan. I don't think, so I'm going to bring up the report because we didn't have a chance to put it in. Let's see. I don't even know where it is. So the annual report is completed by our accountant, Earth and Lee Professional Corporation. And this is our statement for the year. And one of the things you will notice is that our income has considerably grown over the last year. And the majority of those assets, as we get to it, were from grants. And actually, the largest is from a grant to support us over the next 2 years, which also supports the positions that Grace and Aranke are in. And that's why it's so high for this year. But it was just entered, it was just deposited before the year end, but it's for this coming year.
Liz, we are still seeing the presentation slides.
Oh, you can't see it? Oh, sorry. Sorry, everyone. Is that better? There, can everybody
Yes.
see now? Yes,
Yep.
okay. So when we look at the balance sheet, we see a cash flow of 447,307 the year of 2023. Our fiscal year ends March 31st, begins April the 1st. Some of this funding that you will see is, most of our funding is federal. And then we have a few other types of funding, like donations, and some of our funding is not reflected in these reports because we receive it from other people, like they pay certain expenses. Current liability, our payroll, operating fund, we have restricted funds. The number that you see for restricted is because it's for the upcoming years. So that's why we couldn't use it for this year. So our total grant that we received by March 31st is $553,961. You can see the difference over the year. And that I want to attribute to the support that INCAM provided, and with all the writing that we've been doing to secure some of these grants. We secured a very significant one, which is an opportunities grant. And that grant is provided, it's in the disability section of the federal government, provided 3 years of core funding to ASE. And that is it is very important, so we don't have to worry about project to project funding. And that gives us the opportunity to diversify our portfolio. We did receive funding of around $25,000 to support a feasibility study, which is underway right now, to determine our best routes for revenue diversification, other options to support ASE Community's Foundation, as finding grants that fit our intersection of identities is actually quite difficult and frustrating. So if you just take a look, you'll see in total, the majority of what we spend is it payroll and professional services. Out of our entire budget, we do have general admin within limits. We pay honorariums, which is extremely important to how we feel about working with people and paying equitably for their and compensating people for their lived experience and their time. And so you see that's where our expenses, you can see the increase. And then we also had a carry forward last year of $55,414 that was to be used for our programming for 2023. And we have a surplus of $3,771. It's not a surplus in the sense it is the funding that we require to run our programming. They just deposited before April. Instead of after March 31st, they're trying to meet their fiscal, and they deposit a lot of this the last week of March. And that's why we have that carry forward as well. This will be posted for others to see if they're interested. And before I move on to the chair's report, are there any questions about the statement? Awesome. So as I move on to the chair's report, I am interested, and if I can be spotlighted, that would be great. What do I have to say? If you've been a part of the work that we've been doing over the last year, you would be amazed that this much work, this much commitment, these amount of accomplishments could be done by such a small staff of, say, hiring Kaminda as a part-time staff, INCAM as a full-time staff, but on different project funding, me and all the volunteers through the board. I have to say that even though we don't get the majority of the proposals we apply for because we're not fitting into this gender group, this disability group, or these types of formats, we are still demonstrating this exclusion and having conversations about what the errors are, the problems with the accessibility of their forms. So even though we're not getting it, we're advocating with the federal government, with the deputy minister and others, to talk about why we aren't able to get them and what are some of the barriers within. This is a very important part of the work that we do that we don't speak to a lot, is the advocacy, the disruption in spaces that have been working quite well without being intersectional. So the chair's report usually has a summary of what we've been doing and what we are doing, but you're going to be getting presentations. So I'm not going to spend much time on that. One thing I am going to tell you as we move through the AGM is, along with this grant and the other grants, we also have 2 other grants that I wanted to pay attention. We got a grant to set up a fellowship, And the fellowship, we calling this program Kandake Youth Fellowship. It's for girls, women, and gender diverse persons with disabilities. It's a mentorship and a career kind of model, and with 2 cohorts. And we're very excited about getting this started. The other one that we've received, I already told you about the federal government and the disability inclusion unit. And then as of yesterday, I looked in my junk mail and found the letter from the Black Knowledge Hub, the Research Hub. And we were successful in our grant application to do research with Black entrepreneurs. So we're very, very excited about getting started with that as well. If you have expertise or you're interested, please reach out to myself or Aranke, and we'd love to talk to you. And you will see some postings as well. So if you haven't already, another way to read through the chair's report or what's happening with us every month is just make sure you are reading our newsletters. And if you're not, we can put this link so you can sign up for the newsletter right now. We encourage you to please ask your colleagues, your friends, and others to sign up for our newsletter as well. And if you have items that you'd like to share in the newsletter, or you'd like to contribute monthly to the newsletter, please reach out again to the, so I can just open it very briefly for you. Oh, I got the wrong one? Yes. Is this the right one or the wrong one? No, it's right. So if you go through it, you'll get a glance of our launch of the Black Accessibility Hub, which you're going to hear about later, what it's all about, some of the policy and advocacy, and the Vice Chair, Janelle, will talk about that. But there's that we were hiring and we've hired. This is old, actually. And so, oh, I don't, oh, it's not up on the website yet. I see. Right?
Yeah, sorry, it's not up on the website yet, but
Okay. So I encourage everybody, please put that link to the newsletter to our MailChimp or whatever, so people can sign up and check out the newsletter, or we'll have it up today for sure. What happened to my presentation? What happened to the presentation? It just disappeared. It's probably here. Huh. Nope. I think I have to, hang on a second. Sorry, my apologies, everyone, but my presentation is completely disappeared. So let me get it back. Okay. My apologies. Technology. Just have to find where I was. Get too far. So year in review, we do have strategic priorities. And by the way, you will notice that the hub and the website have 2 different email websites. What's happening is we're almost finished the updating of our old website. So that's why things might see in between. But we're hoping in the next 2 weeks that it's all consolidated and it's finished and it's up. This is our priorities as a 5-year strategy. We wanted to work on a Black Accessibility Knowledge Hub, which we just launched, but now it's about populating and engaging with partners. We're looking for partners that want to be a part of it, may want to then I have a specialty and interested in managing that part, or it could be an entrepreneurship organization and they want us to connect, or they will help us populate it. Research and policy, which NCAM and Rochelle will speak to. Collective knowledge and sharing platforms, which is like a coalition idea that I will talk to. Youth and student development opportunities, including summer experience program and the coalition. And education awareness is our real knowledge series and all the other work that we do. And I wanted to say another special thank you to Victor, Alan, Trina, Jillian, Jaya, and Bernard for being new board members joining us in January. And a shout out to our summer students from last summer, Fanta, Zion, Samantha, Rashika, Taluani, Ola, Jaya, Isabella, and Victor. And I know Victor and Jay are here right now. And of course, all of our current staff, such as NCAM, Aaliyah, and all our volunteers, and all of our sponsors. I'm going to pass it over to the Vice Chair, Janelle, to present.
Thanks, Lisa. Thank you, everybody. So I'd like to start with a visual description. I'm a Black woman in her 30s. I use she, her pronouns. I have brown skin and I'm wearing my hair in a big Black afro today. I'm also wearing transparent glasses with large round frames and a sweater, a Black sweater with a gold zipper. I am seated before a virtual background today. It has a white brick wall, a clock, and some tropical plants. I'm joining you all today to provide an update on our organizations on ASE's engagement with Bill C-22, so the Canada Disability Benefit Act, and the progress that we have made in advocating for the inclusion of Black disabled Canadians in this crucial legislation. As we gather here for our AGM, it is a testament truly to our commitment to creating a more inclusive and equitable society. Bill C-22 represents an opportunity to address the pressing issues of poverty and inequality faced by people with disabilities across Canada. However, as an organization that is rooted in disability justice and committed to eradicating anti-Black racism, ableism, gender-based violence, we have been advocating for amendments that prioritize the needs of Black disabled Canadians who disproportionately experience poverty. The slide before this, I just quickly, I'll read what it said. It had text that said, what is Bill C-22? It's an act to reduce poverty and to support the financial security of people with disabilities by establishing the Canada Disability Benefit and making consequential amendment to the Income Tax Act. The image on the right is a picture of Bernard Akuoko, Director of Partnerships, and Kem Ogbona, Manager of Research and Policy, the Honorable Senator Dr. Wanda Thomas Bernard, and myself, Janelle Anderson, Vice Chair, standing in the lobby of the Senate of Canada building. And I want to have a quick pause to express some gratitude to the Senator, Dr. Wanda Thomas Bernard, for really inviting us and putting us in that space to do this important work. Next slide, please. Over the past couple of months, we have been actively engaged in shaping the discourse around Bill C-22. Bill C-22. We have worked tirelessly to identify gaps, advocate for capacity building, and advance the overall well-being and economic engagement and full participation of Black Canadians with disabilities. Our advocacy efforts have focused on ensuring that the proposed legislation reflects the specific challenges faced by our community and provides targeted support to address our needs. So on this slide is a link to the policy brief we submitted back in April, and a SHE team member will pop that link in the chat for you to take a look at that, which will, we'll touch briefly on the key points of or brief, but I will encourage you all to take a look at the brief to expand on what we talk about today. And also feel free to visit the website for more about the work that we've been doing on the Bill C-22. The text reads, on Thursday, March 30, 2023, the ASE Community was invited by the Standing Senate Committee on Social Affairs, Science, and Technology to appear as part of its study of Bill C-22. There are two images on the right, which are screen grabs of the recording of our presentation to the Senate. Next slide, please. I am pleased to share that some of our key recommendations for amendments regarding the amendment of Bill C-22. So the first one is inclusion of disaggregated data. Our organization has emphasized the need for disaggregated data that captures the experiences of Black disabled Canadians. We have advocated for the collection and analysis of race-based data to paint a comprehensive picture of the disproportionate impacts of poverty and marginalization faced by our community. Data should be collected ethically and not used to surveil our community. By highlighting these disparities, we can advocate for targeted measures to address our specific needs responsibly. Another recommendation was the expansion of the eligibility criteria. We have recommended expanding the eligibility criteria to be more inclusive and equitable for Black disabled Canadians. Specifically, we have called for the inclusion of individuals with episodic disabilities, mental health disabilities, recognizing that many within the Black community face unique challenges related to these conditions, which are sometimes not recognized as official disabilities. By expanding eligibility, we can ensure that a broader range of individuals receive the support they require. We also called for anti-discrimination measures. So our organization have advocated for the inclusion of anti-discrimination measures within Bill C-22 to reduce barriers to access for Black disabled Canadians. We have called for the development of culturally responsive services, targeted outreach and engagement strategies, and training for service providers on anti-Black racism and ableism. By addressing systemic barriers and discrimination, we can create more equitable, inclusive benefit program. We also called for a comprehensive and accessible application process that reduces barriers of access for Black Canadians with disabilities. So this includes ensuring that the process is easy to navigate, provides clear information on eligibility criteria, and offers multiple options for submission. Additionally, we have stressed the importance of accommodating folks who may require assistance. So like financial assistance, we know that we've gone through, as a Black disabled person, every institution that I've gone through, whether education or employment, they've always required me to complete a form that's endorsed by a medical doctor who asks you to pay quite a substantial amount to provide a diagnosis and functional limitations so that you can get accommodations. Those things add up. It's very pricey. So we're calling for accommodations for that, but also, again, flexibility, because many in our community don't have an official diagnosis or are underdiagnosed, right? Because of medical racism, anti-Black racism, et cetera. Next slide, please. As we move forward, our strategic priorities for the coming year in relation to Bill C-22 are as follows. So we talked about the continued advocacy. So we'll definitely be remaining actively engaged in the legislative process, advocating for the inclusion of our recommendations in the amendment of Bill C-22. We'll leverage our collective expertise, partnerships, and influence to ensure that the voices and the needs of Black disabled Canadians are centered in the development and implementation of this legislation. Number two, collective partnerships. So we'll further strengthen our partnerships with like-minded organizations, allies, researchers and community leaders to amplify our advocacy efforts. By working collectively, we can drive meaningful change to ensure that the amendment of Bill C-22 reflects the diverse needs of Black disabled Canadians. We also call for public awareness and engagement. So we will be continuing to raise public awareness about the importance of inclusive and equitable legislation, specifically highlighting the experiences of Black disabled Canadians. So through targeted campaigns, community engagement initiatives, and public education efforts, we really are advocating for the next steps to really build partnerships and to build on the co-design framework that we engage in to foster a broader understanding of the barriers faced by our community and to advance our advocacy goals. We also call for monitoring and evaluation of this bill. So we already talked about including race-based data. And we also call for more mechanisms to monitor the implementation and impact of the legislation. This will involve collecting feedback from Black disabled people and other stakeholders to assess the effectiveness of the program and to, most importantly, identify gaps and challenges so that improvements can be made. Next slide, please. So this slide reads, where is Bill C-22 today? So Canada's Senate has passed Bill C-22. I believe back in May 18th, it was sent back to the House of Commons. And these were the amendments to the bill. So one, prevent insurance companies from blocking the Canada disability benefit from a person with disability who receives long-term disability benefits under an insurance policy or employee plan. Two, establish a right of appeal for applicants. Three, require cabinet to take into account the additional costs of living with a disability, the intersectional disadvantages, and Canada's international human rights obligation, addition to the poverty line. And the last one was the 1-year deadline for regulations to be enacted that are necessary to start paying out to the Canada Disability benefit. And so to just wrap up, ASE has been actively engaged in advocating for the inclusion of Black disabled Canadians within the context of Bill C-22. Through our efforts, we have pushed for amendments that has addressed the specific challenges faced by our community to ensure equitable access to the benefits provided by the legislation. By continuing our advocacy, strengthening our partnerships, raising awareness, and we're going to push again for that monitoring implementation, especially as the regulations get crafted. We can really ensure that we can make a meaningful impact in advancing disability justice and the overall well-being of Black disabled Canadians. So everyone, thank you again for your unwavering support. We really look forward to continued collaborations as we work towards this inclusive and equitable future. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Janelle. I'm going to continue on through our presentation. So we're going to talk a bit here now. We talked about policy. Now I'm going to invite INCAM and Dr. Rochelle Litchmore or Leah, if they'd like to speak to the presentation. Do you have control over the presentation, INCAM?
Yeah, I just switched it over to make sure it was the updated slides. That's okay.
Okay.
So I can click through. Hey, good morning, folks. I'm INCAM. I'm the manager of research and policy. I use they, them pronouns. Today, I'm wearing a dark pink and brown headscarf with a knot tied in the top, some pink earrings, and I have some new black chunky glasses with my last ones broke. So happy to get new glasses. So today I'll be talking kind of briefly about our research projects that we've been doing at the ASE Community. Over the past year, we've really worked as a team to, I think, figure out what our strategic priorities are, and one of them we've solidified will be research and policy. So we've been incredibly blessed to be able to work on some key research projects. I think all of them, the first of their kind across the nation. We know overall there's a huge lack of data on the intersection of Blackness and disability in Canada, which has been so clearly and well captured by Janelle Anderson in the first scan that ASE ever did, the intersection of Blackness and disability that can be found on our website. One of the key things that Liz and Janelle called for was for more research to be done at this intersection to capture the experiences of our community that we already know are happening, that we talk about with our family and friends, but is not captured in the data. So I'll be talking about these 4 projects today: the Black Youth Diverse Learners Research Project, the Disability and Reproductive Health during COVID-19 in Canada research study that we're doing with the University of Toronto, and then some completed projects, primarily talking about the Workplaces Revamp Project, and then just quickly mentioning the Capacity Building Research Project, which I know we've done some presentations on before. So the first one is the Black Youth Diverse Learners Research Project, which is a Halton Hamilton community-based project. So this community-based research project is really capturing the experiences of complex experiences of Black youth diverse learners and their intersectional experiences. Is led by 6 Black youth peer researchers who are Black youth with disabilities themselves, and also led by Dr. Rochelle Lichmore, the principal investigator, as well as our research analyst, Aaliyah Hinds, who I believe is on the call as well. Overall, we'll be capturing data. Oh, Aaliyah just entered the waiting room, so let me just let her in. Hi, Leah. We just started. So for this project, we're really collecting data through 3 major data collection instruments. The first one being the Photo Voice Project, one-on-one interviews, as well as focus groups. And our key demographics that we're trying to target with this project within the Halton Hamilton region. So that's Hamilton, Milton, Burlington, Oakville. Our Black youth, ages 16 to 30, primarily Black youth who are diverse learners, encompassing those with ADHD, level 1 autism, dyslexia, and other comprehension-based disabilities. The full list can be found on our website under research. Black community members, so caregivers, families, teachers, supports, as well as educational community stakeholders. So we're talking school board representatives, people who do the psychoeducational diagnoses for Black youth, and X, Y, and Z. Before I go over to the team, I want to ask Dr. Lichmore if there's anything that you'd want to kind of add, or if you want to introduce yourself quickly.
Sure, I could introduce myself. I don't know if anybody can see me though. There we are. Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Rochelle Lichmore. I'm, to describe myself, I'm a Black woman with brown skin. I have short dreadlocks with some green highlights that were supposed to be blue. I'm wearing a peach sweater. I'm currently located in New London, Connecticut. So I'm supervising this project remotely, working with the talented Incam and Aaliyah. And I have nothing to add. I think Incam has done a really good job introducing or providing an overview with the project. So I'll just jump in when needed as you proceed.
And this is a collaborative project with 2 other partnering organizations, the Center of Diverse Learners that's located in Burlington. They're actually the folks who actually received the grant for this research project, as well as the Afro-Canadian Caribbean Association of Hamilton. So we have a really large team, 4 of us here at ASE. Liz has also been very heavily involved in the project, getting the project off the ground. As well as members from CDL, such as Tamara and Colleen, who support on the administrative and outreach side of things, as well as Allison Brindle, the executive director of the Center of Diverse Learners. We have Evelyn Myrie, who is an ED at ACA, as well as our 6 amazing Black peer researchers from the Halton Hamilton region. So in terms of where the project is at, so we have gotten community ethics approval from the Community Research Ethics Office down in Waterloo. We have recruited and onboarded our peer researchers, completed the photo voice data collection part of the project, in which we had 7 Black youth diverse learners across the GTA spend about 1 to 2 weeks taking photos of their day-to-day lives and kind of expressing why these photos were important to kind of showcasing their livelihood and experiences as Black youth diverse learners. As well as had our launch event for the project. I believe it was back during Black History Month. Sorry about that. I think it's been really awesome to see such a diverse group of folks across the Black diaspora, not only within our peer researcher group, but also our participants. So folks who are newer immigration status, folks who are of the African diaspora, Caribbean diaspora, some Afro-Indigenous folks as well, and people of all different gender diversity and ages. So our peer researcher team really ranges from youth in high school all the way to people who've completed their master's and currently working for the federal government. Right now, we're really working on the data analysis for the Photo Voice project, really being led by Dr. Lishmore and Rochelle, supported by the peer researchers. The information from the Photo Voice project and the findings from the Photo Voice project will be used to develop the final questions for the interviews and focus groups. And also in working on school board ethics applications, because in order to recruit, we have to complete those, and just working on general overall participant recruitment. I'm just going to do a quick time check. Okay. Again, this is kind of where we're at in our timeline. We are in the first phase of recruitment, hoping to conduct interviews and focus groups and finishing up analysis. So, Aaliyah, are you here? Yes. So I just want to talk quickly about some of the preliminary themes that came out of the Photo Voice project. Aaliyah, are you okay to kind of speak to them briefly? If not, then I can.
Yeah, I can talk about them a little. So from the photos that the Photo Voice participants took and like the conversations that we had with them, these are just some of the things that jumped out as being consistent themes across multiple participants. So a lot of people talked about really leaning on the supports and resources that are available in their community. So some participants talked about having personal support workers that like help them get to appointments, help them stay organized and stuff like that. Others lean on their religious community for support and then also use those spaces to kind of build up their skills, like in terms of leadership and organization and stuff like that. And then also others lean on like community centers, libraries, and just spaces in their communities that allow them opportunities for like building up their skills and then also like managing any challenges that they're having. Participants also talked a lot about culture and how it impacts their experiences as Black youth diverse learners. So we talked about specifically parents' perceptions, cultural perceptions of what like disability is, what it means to have a child who is a diverse learner, the cultural influences on the ways that individuals present themselves in spaces, in terms of like maybe masking certain things that come along with their challenges, and then also culture influencing the way that they think, in terms of like seeking diagnoses and stuff like that. And then also participants talked a bit about how families and peers and just other people around them are really important sources of support, in terms of like having people to go to, having people to lean on when they need to be distracted from the challenges that they have daily. And then another thing that came up was transportation issues, specifically in this was more central to like the GTA than Hamilton, but people talked a lot about how unreliable schedules with like buses and trains, especially when commuting to school, can cause a lot of issues with getting to the places that they need to be on time. And then that causes a lot of other like cascading negative effects in terms of like having to reach out to teachers and stuff to explain situations, and that just causing like a lot of like buildup of like challenges for them. And then participants also talked about how COVID-19 had like a really negative impact on their experience as a Black youth diverse learner. A lot of the community resources that people leaned on before the pandemic shut down with COVID, and after that, nothing that has been as beneficial has opened up, and a lot of people are feeling lost and alone and feeling like they don't really have that support that they had before. Learning and working conditions was another thing that came up, and participants kind of just emphasized that there are some really specific conditions, like environmental conditions, that are best for them when learning or when focusing. So people talked about needing quiet spaces, needing good lighting, needing to have like snacks to keep them occupied while they're studying or learning, and then also having classroom environments that encourage interaction rather than just sitting and listening. And then participants also talked about nature and animals as being like a source of support. So a lot of people talked about getting outside being a good way to like refocus after long periods of working. They talked about connecting to nature as a way to kind of meditate and think through like their challenges and stuff like that. And then leaning on like pets and stuff to build like skills like responsibility and stuff like that, but then also just having them as companions. Yeah, and this is just a sample of some of the pictures that participants shared and talked about. Yeah.
Thanks so much, Leah.
No problem.
And in terms of how to get involved, like I had mentioned, we are in our first phase of data or participant recruitment. So really encourage for you folks to share this project amongst your networks. And if you identify as any of the three kind of groups that I mentioned earlier and live within the Halls and Hamilton region, we really want to hear from you. So please feel free to come out and share your voices by participating in a focus group or interview. There's a $50 honoraria, and the information about how you can get involved can be found on our website, and I'll also drop the email in the chat a bit later on. Yeah. I'm going to kind of go quickly to keep us on time. But the next project that we're currently working on is the Sexual and Reproductive Health Project during COVID-19. This is a partnership project with the University of Toronto, Dawn Canada, Sick Kids, but there are also a lot of other kind of community members who participate in the project via the advisory committee from Holland Bloorview, X, Y, and Z. So this project is really a nationwide project that's looking at the experiences of people with disabilities accessing sexual health and reproductive health during COVID-19, particularly women, non-binary and trans people. So in terms of kind of ASE's involvement, again, this project is open to all, but we are really here to support the main project, but also really make sure that the experiences of Black disabled people were captured within this project. Overall, we were able to conduct 60 interviews and 133 surveys, online surveys. In terms of ASE's kind of part of the project, we conducted interviews with 13 Black participants, again, kind of across the Black diaspora and across a range of ages. We had youth who were 18 up to folks who were in their 50s and 60s, really kind of sharing their kind of diverse experiences trying to access sexual and reproductive health during COVID-19. Currently, I'm in the kind of final stages of completing the literature review, as well as coding and doing the data analysis for these 13 interviews. And we're hoping from this project to come, yes, the overall publication, but also smaller reports, such as a Black focus publication that I'll be working on completing for August 2023. And there will also be some other smaller research projects coming out of that. So looking at the experiences of people specifically accessing pregnancy-related care, as well as accessing transportation throughout COVID-19, and how that impacted their ability to access care. And I'll just do kind of a brief read of this first quote. So overall, what I really found through the project was a lot of experiences of isolation when it comes to accessing healthcare in general within the Black community. We often lean on having our support team, so our families, our mothers, our siblings, our friends, to be able to come and act as also advocates within healthcare spaces. Because of the COVID-19 restrictions, we found that a lot of folks weren't able to, I guess, have these supports that are really critical to them as Black folks with disabilities. A lot of participants also talked about the anti-Black racism that they face from staff, some folks getting misgendered by staff, some folks being told that their pain or that their concerns weren't a priority, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic, leading to their own disabilities getting exacerbated. And we also saw within rural communities, a lot of the Black folks who needed care, again, were deprioritized. And it was really hard to access community supports because they were so isolated, not only because of the pandemic, but based off of location as well. So this first quote says, "So sometimes I'll be like, why do they need to know my identity? But anyway, I feel like it affects the determinant of health. Because if I went to school to get my master's degree for the purposes of getting a leadership position, I'm not getting those positions because of my racial identity or my gender or my immigration status. Of course, I'm not going to be able to get the income that I want." So this was really, in addition to people talking about their experiences accessing reproductive health care, a lot of people talked about their experiences accessing employment during the COVID-19 pandemic as well, and how that impacted their ability to access healthcare due to their, due to them having precarious employment status. So again, a lot of folks talked about how their reproductive and sexual health care is very intricately linked with their housing, their employment, all these other social determinants of health. So not only are they often facing anti-Black racism and ableism within the healthcare system, they're facing in other facets of their life, which has a really large impact on their ability to access safe healthcare. And the next project that was completed is the Workplaces Revamped project, which was a partnership project with Realize Canada, really looking at the experiences of folks with episodic disabilities accessing employment. So some episodic disabilities that were represented were things such as depression, anxiety, mental health, things like that, chronic pain such as fibromyalgia, multiple sclerosis, as well as things such as hidradenitis suppurativa, which is a physical disability. In terms of participant demographics, again, we had a wide range of folks who had participated. I had folks ranging from age 18 up to 75. So it was really interesting to kind of hear such a diverse, range of opinions on employment and what is supportive to them as Black folks with disabilities. This project was really meant to, showcase for employers things that they could do better within their organizations, within their kind of workplaces to better support folks with disabilities. And our kind of part was specific to Black folks with episodic disabilities. So I won't go fully into it, but overall, our key findings that the participants kind of shared with us were that many of them are experiencing anti-Black racism and ableism within the workplace from the get-go, from the hiring process, from not being able to get accommodations within the hiring process, or feeling like they cannot, disclose their disability within the hiring process, because though many organizations have an equity statement, a lot of the times we know that having a disability or disclosing your disability can be marked against you due to the perception that people with disabilities are going to need a lot of extra support or not going to be able to complete their job roles even when they're fully qualified. And within workplace culture, barriers to career advancement, we heard experiences, particularly from Black women, being told that they had to smile more at work, that they were aggressive, that they were abrasive, and so on top of needing to overperform in terms of their job duties, they found that there is a performativity aspect of their job as well that really kind of hinders their ability to fully show up at work. Again, folks had a fear of disclosing their disability at work. One participant was told that they were a hypochondriac when they told their employer about their disability, as well as a lack of representation within the workplace of other Black folks, let alone Black folks with disabilities. Folks also kind of talked about the barriers that they face in accessing accommodations and disability support. And there was kind of a split divide in terms of people's preference for virtual and hybrid work environments. Some people really found that a fully virtual work environment was really supportive to them and their disabilities. They're able to unmask at home. They have their own personal disability supports at home, but some folks really miss that community aspect of work, being able to talk to people one-on-one in person. But there was not a lot of, I don't believe any folks who actually preferred fully in-person work. Most of it was hybrid or virtual. In terms of some of the key recommendations that we wrote for employers, one was developing culturally relevant accommodations and disability supports, writing in very specific anti-oppressive policies, protocols, and budgets that specifically name anti-Black racism. These are some recommendations that we've also seen have been consistent across some of our other research projects. Targeted career advancement strategies that bring in kind of mentors and coaches that look and represent the people who are trying to kind of advance their career. Increased representation within senior leadership. So again, specifically within the not-for-profit space, a lot of folks identified that the program workers themselves were Black, disabled, and represented their, I guess, community if they're doing front-facing work, but senior leadership often still remained white, non-disabled. So there's like a disconnect in understanding of their experiences through that. And last one was education, awareness, and training, which again was also reflected within the capacity building research project. And that brings us to the last one. I only have 2 slides on this because again, we've presented on this, but Janelle Anderson led the capacity building research project, which concluded last June 2022, which was an environmental scan identifying organizations and programs that have an intersectional approach to race and disability, particularly looking at the experiences of staff, leaders, volunteers who are essentially creating these programs, delivering these programs, and what supports they need from the federal government. And Lisa really worked on consolidating and identifying 7 key engagement strategies as to how the federal government could better holistically support and amplify the voices of not just these organizations, but particularly Black and racialized people with disabilities kind of across the nation. So yeah, I will wrap it up here and I can just continue the slide sharing, but if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask. Then I will throw it back to Liz.
I actually have a question.
Oh, yes.
And just for everyone, my apologies. I forgot to ask at the end of Janelle, the vice chair's report, if there were any questions. So before I move forward, I'd like to just ask a question about 2 questions. The first presentation on the diverse learners. As it is a systems mapping project, what is the objective of the project? You can go back a slide if you have to.
Yeah.
What is the ultimate objective of what we're trying to do through this project?
Yeah.
So, particularly, it is a Trillium funded, and this is under the systems mapping project. And then the next stage of systems mapping is to take the results of what we find, and they will offer, that would be more in the programming stage of what can solve the problem. So if you can go back to this slide, if there is one that talks about the objective of the project.
Yeah, I don't think I actually wrote it on the slide, but I can just speak to the main 2 objectives. And then Rochelle, if you want to jump in, please feel free. So the first one's really to identify structural and systemic barriers within educational systems and community supports in order to document strategies for success and system navigation for Black youth. And the other objective is really to inform system-based solutions. So not looking just at the individual and what can the individual do to better support themselves, really, again, developing system-wide solutions within education and employment that are Black youth focused, culturally relevant, and accessible. And Rochelle, is there anything that you'd want to add?
I think that information is available, material online. But so my question is I see some of I'm really curious actually, and I know that you're still in the process and we're not publishing findings yet, but the photo voice, did it pick up, or were there some generalized ideas over some of these system gaps that they experienced?
I'm going to ask Aaliyah to jump in. So we are currently in like preliminary analysis. So we haven't looked through all of the data as yet in terms of like all of the overlapping themes. So I'm going to ask Aaliyah to speak to what she got from conducting the interviews and the final focus groups with the peer researchers, keeping in mind that this is like an initial phase for us to dig deeper into those systems processes when we do the broader data collection. So the photo voice phase is to help us to understand the experiences of these individuals within these systems so that we can now go into that like broader understanding of what people in general or Black youth with learning disabilities in general are experiencing. So yeah, Aaliyah, if Aaliyah is still on the call, if you can jump in in terms of what you learned directly from the interviews and the focus group.
I don't think Aaliyah is here anymore. I know she couldn't stay the entire time. I was at the final focus group and ran a few interviews. But I can't give a comprehensive, answer in terms of like all of the findings. But again, the main one was really Black youth lean on community supports rather than like direct disability supports, such as like therapists, any accessibility supports within school. A lot of the Black youth are still only coming to terms with their disability over the past few years and are still kind of figuring out their learning style, still figuring out what it actually means to be a diverse learner. So we are seeing that overall, it seems that there's like a later onset in terms of like identifying as a diverse learner, and that's impacted their ability to like receive accommodations like in the past, because a lot of them are only kind of coming to terms with it now. And some of them had shared, some key parts of my disability seem so obvious when I go and I read up on it. So a lot of them have expressed disappointment of, like with like leadership, such as like teachers and just overall kind of like school staff who maybe like didn't support them when they were younger, when they didn't have access to the resources that they've had now. So a lot of them are kind of learning how to like self-advocate and find that that's a large part of their journey. And there's a little bit of kind of distrust because a lot of them are only coming to terms with their disability now, and didn't kind of receive the supports that would have been helpful when they were younger and in school.
Yeah, so again, I've been having technical issues with my data analysis software. So again, I haven't had the chance to look directly at the data, but extrapolating from what Income just shared, because Income is sharing from what I'm hearing from what the participants have shared is that there's a lot of self-reliance and self-reliance and like them individually seeking out information. So what that translates to is that there's no built-in supports for individuals to approach a particular resource or a particular organization or structure in order to get assistance in terms of obtaining a diagnosis and then obtaining like treatment. So again, these are highly preliminary because we've barely started analysis. But the information is there. It's just that we need to pull it out.
Okay, thank you. And were there any questions about the Bill 22? This is a new credit. There's a bill for a new credit that will support persons with disabilities of working age. And if there are any other questions, and my apologies, I believe Janelle is still here, or Bernard is here and Kim is here, who can answer some of those questions. I'm happy to answer as well. No? Okay, then we'll move on. I'll just let you finish the slideshow, and Kim.
Sounds good. Okay, so I'm just getting to the right slide. Here we go.
So like I mentioned in my chair report at the beginning, we applied for funding through the new Black Entrepreneurship Knowledge Hub. It is a part of the $100 million through the innovation funds, through the Minister of Innovations and Economics for all the entrepreneurship organizations across Canada that are Black and serving Black businesses and entrepreneurs. So we applied because we also know that when we look at any research on Black on entrepreneurship, there isn't a race-based analysis, as we pointed out in all the other areas that we do advocacy. And if you look into the Black Innovation Fund of the 100 million, and that went to Black-led organizations or newer Black-led organizations across Canada to support Black entrepreneurs or small businesses, there was not an intersectionality approach when it came to gender either. And so you will see that the programs and the initiatives, and you will also see that the research that has been coming out doesn't have a disability lens, that is, or research or focus groups or conversations are also missing the disability lens as well as the LGBT lens, queer lens. It's missing, many of them are missing gender analysis with intersectional identities. So we put in a proposal called Untapped Black Talent, examining the systemic gaps, structural barriers, and lived experiences of Black entrepreneurs with disabilities. Very happy to say we've got our first 50,000 for the first year of a 3-year project. And that's what we're going to hope to set up. The first year is going to be about data. It's not about doing the survey. It'll be about like a lit review, looking through data sets, figuring out if we can, and analyzing those data sets, maybe some kind of a photo voice or something along the lines. We just received the money. So if this is something you'd like to partner with, or if this is something you're interested in, please reach out to me or Aranke. Thank you. And if you have any questions about it, you can ask now or call, talk to us later. Looks fun. Oh, right. We have launched the Black Accessibility Knowledge Hub, and that is the abbreviation. And we have a partner already, Swabona Afrocentric Circle of Support, and they are very interested in supporting the part of the hub that looks at supporting parents and children to get the most relevant information that is Black focused in the hub. We're very thankful for this relationship we have with them, as it has really been helped us understand early child learning experiences and the parent-child relationship in the school system. So the Black Accessibility Hub, if you can click to the next slide. It is, we can skip over this because I just said it. And this. Foster a dynamic sense of community, facilitate knowledge sharing, and encourage connections and partnerships. So we are housing it, but we are welcoming people who want to partner to take on certain parts of the sources in there. We are welcoming people to submit for free, whether it's your business, your association, your network, your organization, or you can submit a disability resource that you think, whether it's racialized or not, that you think is imperative that people know about. You can also submit research that you've been working on. Maybe you're an undergraduate student, or maybe you're a graduate student, a PhD student, and you have work that you'd like us to add to the collection of the intersection of race and disability work. We're happy to do that. And then once it's populated, people will be able to search. I'll go to the next slide. They'll be able to search by service directory, by disability resources, and by this knowledge catalog. So if there's, can we please put the link to the accessible, to the knowledge, the Black Hub in the chat. And if possible, bring up, because I'm not sharing my screen. Incam, if you can share the hub so people can get a look at it.
Yeah, I can share. Give me 1 second.
So when you come, you will see the front page, many familiar faces on this page. If you can move down, it gives you the description of who we are and all that. You can keep going. Talks to you about, and then it talks to you about, and you can click on each. The website also talks about navigating the Black Hub. We're also going to have videos and tips available so people can do this. We'll have more sessions where people can join and learn how to submit or how to search. If you go to the, let's go to the knowledge catalog. You can search by put in the word that you're looking for. You can drop down the menu and look at category. You can look at what kind of format you're looking for, PDF. Is it a photo? Is it a document? What is it? You can look at the type if you drop down the type menu, Incam. You can look at the type of document that it goes under. You can look at the categories. Those are our categories, and you can look at the focus. Everything in this database has to have the intersection of Blackness and disability, except for the resources. So if you click on, right, so right there, you see the Canada Disability Act, if people are interested, and a policy, and the C Bill 22, you can just look and see, read it for yourself. So if you have anything you'd like to share, you can go right into where it says submit to the hub, and you can create yourself a profile. That means you can change and know what you've been doing, and you can submit. It gets approved in the back end by ASE, and or you can send an email to the Black Hub at ASE Community Foundation, and you can, and someone will put it up for you. So we can drop that in the chat as well. Thank you. And thank you, Kaminda, for joining us in January and really getting this out. So we had it up in April. And I'm looking forward to getting all our community partners or businesses that know and understand the Black community, can do work with the Black community and are Black themselves to do our work. So I'm going to pass it over to the Real Knowledge series and ask Grace to speak about it. And I'm also going to ask Aranke to as well speak to parts if at all necessary, if you'd like to speak to that as well. Grace and Aranke. Next slide though, I would think.
Hi. One second. Can folks hear me?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Sorry, 1 second. My audio is being weird today. I just want to check again. Can folks hear me? Okay, great. Okay, so hi, my name is Grace, and I'm going to be talking about the Real Knowledge series. So I first of all want to thank our sponsor, RBC, who generously sponsored this project. Next slide. So what is the Real Knowledge series? So it's a national education and awareness knowledge mobilization program that utilizes a community-based approach of for us by us to work with community members and provide education on the intersection of Blackness, disability, and gender. This project is going to be a significant anchor in our work to eradicate ableism and drive a cultural shift that embraces the multiple identities of all Black Canadians. Next slide, thank you. So to collectively address the unique experiences and persistent barriers that our community faces due to a complex history of colonialism and historical trauma. We aim to take a holistic approach that involves all members of the Black community, specifically people with disabilities, parents, guardians, and caregivers, community leaders and organizations, and youth and students. So what are some of our main objectives? So we aim to prioritize broadening an understanding of the diversity of disabilities and the importance of intersectional identities and lived experience. We also aim to expand knowledge and usage of accommodations, government and financial resources, and Black-focused supports. We also aim to cultivate inclusive Black community spaces that challenge ableism, address stigma, and fully support the self-efficacy and advancement of Black people with disabilities. We also aim to develop technical and digital accessibility, literacy skills, and enhance self-advocacy and leadership skills of Black people with disabilities. So here are some of our past Real Knowledge Series events. So we had, our first session was More Than a Job. It covered career advancement and cultivating success with Black people with disabilities. Our second session was access to benefits for those with disabilities. And our third session was intersectionality and allyship and Blackness and disability. And if you want to learn more about those events, you can, does anyone else want to speak to any of those events? In Cam, I'm not sure if you wanted to speak to any of them. If not, no worries, I can move on.
Nothing, just that we're in the process of uploading them onto our YouTube as well. So take a look out on our YouTube if you search for ASE Community, if you want to, participate and learn some of the things that we shared.
Yes, thank you so much. And I can share that link after my presentation to YouTube. So we have been in the process of planning our next Real Series events for June 2023 to December 2023. And we plan to have 1 to 2 sessions each month, coinciding with different awareness days and awareness months. So in June, we plan to attend some events to do with Sickle Cell Awareness Day. We're planning an event around Pride Month. For July, we are planning an event around Black Joy. August, we're planning something around parents and engaging parents with disabilities or parents with children with disabilities. In September, we want to put on a workshop with RBC around disability tax credit session. In October, we want to run a session on employment and disability. In November, a session to do with World Diabetes Days, and in December, World AIDS Day, and then also International Day of Persons with Disabilities. So keep an eye out for these events, for registration, and things like that. Oh, I do want to briefly check if anyone has questions, feel free to put them in the chat.
I saw one of the questions, and it is any activities pertaining to seniors and elders care. I am on the advisory committee for the research project that Ingrid Waldron is doing on dementia in the Black community. So we would be supporting and jointly be promoting the outreach to the community, which might include many, primarily seniors. But if you have an idea of an event or would like to do something with us, we're more than happy to. We'd love to, actually. The reason we haven't as yet is we'd like to do events that are related to other community organizations and other events that are happening. So we're here about supporting, and that the work that we do will fill the gaps, because not every organization has enough money to do everything. So please reach out to us, and we'd be happy to do an event. And we can talk to Dr. Waldron at McMaster. And I know there's one right now in Halton, Hamilton. I don't know if it just ended, but there is one on seniors that has been done every year at ACA and in the Halton region that Dr. Ingrid is speaking to. So if you have that link, you can just put that in the chat as well. Thank you. So I guess we're moving on to our presentations of National Coalition and Networks. Next slide. So one of the things we meet a lot of people, and the more we talk, the more Black people with disabilities we speak to, the more parents, the more employers, the more employees, the more entrepreneurs, the more researchers. And what we really need is a space that we can work together on a coalition. So we've requested money from the government, and we will be moving forward with a national coalition of Black people with disabilities. That may not be the name, but that's what we're calling it. And we'll be asking for a membership, like with the terms of reference. We have a temporary one, but when we get the first think tank together or the first group together, we're going to try to lay those out, try to look at who would like to be on the executive, and what would be the priorities of this coalition. There is a federally well-supported national coalition for people with disabilities that deliberately and intentionally in front of our face excluded us from the development of this coalition. And because the traditional disability organizations know each other, and they met, and it was their idea. So they wanted to establish it for themselves, and then they plan to include people in. The position that ASE takes along with other disability-led organizations, or particularly racialized or indigenous, is we need to be at the table from the beginning. And so we're going to work with them as well, and those wonderful people that have been doing a lot of work over 25 years. But we're going to put ourselves in a safe space where we can talk about our issues without the traditional eye rolling and silencing. I promised, not finished yet, I promised that I would start or have a meeting for Black entrepreneurs with disabilities. So I said June. I know we're in June. If you are interested, please reach out to me specifically. And I'm hoping I can get the first meeting or a roundtable or something put together by the end of June. And then finally, as part of this coalition, oh, there's one missing. And finally on the coalition is the research network. So with all this other research happening, with new research happening at different levels in academic and community work, we want to put together some type of a network on those people doing research at the intersection of Blackness and disability. So that I'm hoping we'll be able to launch that in September. This is my information if you have any questions. There's one part of the coalition that I'm not seeing here. I'm not sure it's on the other slide. And that is the Youth Coalition. And so I will be building and reinventing the Youth Coalition that started 2 years ago. And that is a national coalition that we want youth and anybody up to the age of 30 who has disabilities and is Black to participate, or resources or organizations or specialists that do all that work. Thank you. Now we're at the spot where it's general business. So if we move on to the next slide, I'm going to let Aranke speak to this, if you'd like, Aranke. If not, I
Thank
can.
you.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Lisa. So we have a couple of summer student positions available at this time. Thankfully, we've been able to create these positions and these posts for them, and we hope that we have actually been getting quite a number of applications, and applications will be closing on Sunday, tomorrow. for these summer students to resume on the 15th of June. So between the 4th and the 15th, we're going to be going through the screening process as well as interview process. We also are able to pay this amount of money per hour for these positions. Some of the positions have 15, 50, some 17. And this is made possible because we're able to get some government funding, to subsidize these payments for them. Excuse me. So we encourage you, our board members, our committee members, to spread the word for us. As many students as are able to take on these positions during the summer break, would like to have them on and collaborate further with them even in future. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd also like to add the IT and technical coordinator right now will be replacing someone that is on leave. So that salary will be up to 25,000, and we need someone for a solid 4 months to work on the hub with the technical skills. So if you have that expertise or know, please reach out. Next slide. I think I'm going to cover this, but we talked about keep an eye out. We're going to have a lot of events in the month of June and events around Pride. We will be doing a staff and board retreat, hopefully in August. Anybody that has space or suggestions, which is a great economical place for us to do this, please let us know. And the annual Black Student Success Summit is September the 9th. And again, any partners, anybody here who would like to participate, volunteer, or would want to host us at a space that they have or know of a great space to host, please let us know. Now, there are community events coming up that we really want we will be attending and supporting, absolutely. In Ottawa, Voices, Challenges and Solutions, Community Needs, and then the Hope Gala here in Toronto on the 17th. World Sickle Cell Day is which day is World Sickle Cell Day?
19th.
The 19th. Really want people, whether you have sickle cell in your family or not, to take a look at the resources that both of all these partners have available. And understanding that it's chronic illness and that even in areas of the disability tax credit, they are not eligible for, because these chronic illnesses like lupus, epilepsy, sickle cell do not meet the criteria for these types of benefits because they're episodic. So this is an area of concern and is an area of advocacy for our work. So as we come to the end of our meeting here, are there any other business or any motions people would like to bring forward? I would just double check the chat to make sure. Okay, next slide. So before we adjourn, I want to thank everybody who contributed to putting together this presentation, especially the new staff, Aranke and Grace, for jumping in 2 feet first with no life jacket into the ASE community. We very much appreciate it. I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn.
I'll motion to adjourn the meeting. Thanks so much, Lisa.
Thank you, Janelle. And a seconder?
I second it.
And who's I?
Jillian.
Hi, Jill. From Edmonton. Great. And the meeting is now adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for all your work, and make sure you subscribe to our newsletter. Make sure you attend our events. You want us to participate in an event, even if it's in Edmonton, Nunavut, you let us know. We're happy, and we're also happy to promote any event that is at the intersection of Blackness, and particularly if it's about an issue that may be a disability. Diabetes is a disability, lupus is a disability, and a lot of times in our community, which is why we do awareness, we're not even sure that what we have is a disability because we call things, you use the word sugar to describe diabetes. So I really want to tell everyone, I cannot believe the substantial growth of this organization after 3 years, and particularly this last year, and looking forward to some wonderful projects. Stay tuned. Chances are we will be hiring to work with some of these projects with us. If you're interested in research, please reach out. And particularly if you're a student and you're looking for work, please reach out to be a research assistant. And or if you're not quite ready as a research assistant, but you want to be a volunteer, we're happy to have you. So I wish you all the best on today. And for those who joined us on their Sabbath, I appreciate it. And for those that are off, going to enjoy another beautiful day here, anyways, in Toronto, enjoy. And if there's no other comments or anyone from the board that would like to say anything.
I'm sorry.
Anybody? The meeting is adjourned. We'll see you in the year. Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Thanks, Lisa.
Bye.
Thank you.
Take care, everybody.
Bye, Alan. Thank you for attending. Hi, Jaya. Bye, Victor. Nick.
Oh.
Hi, Grace.
Oh, Lisa, do you need me on?
No, you're good to go.
Okay.
Bye, Janelle.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Is that it? Everybody else is off?
Yeah, I think everyone else is on. Oh, I think Grace just left.
Oh, okay. Have a good weekend. I hope she stopped recording.
I can.
I'll stop that.
Oh, you.
Okay.
Hold on. Oh, no, go ahead. Okay.
Okay.